Hey everyone, Bandit here. Welcome back to the channel. We're back in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and for today's flight, we're going to feature one more flight in the BlackSquare Analog King Air. Today we're in beautiful Nanaimo, British Columbia on Vancouver Island. Weather's not so great though, and we're going to do a quick flight over to Vancouver with an en route approach in Victoria on the way. For today's flight, we're going to feature the PMS GTN750 for navigation. I've already got the airplane started up, ready to go, just to save some time for the video today. If you'd like to see the full startup procedure, just reference my previous video in the BlackSquare Analog King Air. I'll link it below in the description. And if you're new to the channel, take time, hit the subscribe button, sign up for notifications. You'll see videos when I put like this when I put them out in the future. And if you're joining me again, welcome back. Good to see you, and thanks for joining me. So without further ado, let's hop in the cockpit and get. The only thing we have left to do is program the flight. We'll get that programmed up, and we'll get up on our way. Okay, here we are in the cockpit, and as you can see, we're using the GTN750 here. And that's one of the configurations you can use with this aircraft. For today's flight, I'll just review it over a Navigraph here. So we're on Western Canada on Vancouver Island here. And Nanaimo is on the eastern part of the island, just directly west of Vancouver. So we're going to take off from Nanaimo Airport straight north up to the CYCD-CYYJ-CYVR. And we're going to track down here to MEPMU for its initial fix for the arrival for coming into Vancouver. We're anticipating on the 8th in Vancouver. Victoria is right down here, and we're going to shoot an en route approach down to Victoria. So that's the plan today. I'll just go over the departure before we get that set up. It's not loaded in the database, so we have to set it up ourselves. So basically it says climb track 342 to the YCD-NDB, then shuttle climb on a track 191 to MAA before proceeding on course. So you see we track 342 straight ahead to the beacon, and then we enter the hold, and we'll shuttle climb in the hold. Left-hand turns up to MEA, and MEA, I think heading this way is 6,500 feet, but we'll just climb right to our altitude, cruise altitude of 10,000. So that'll be the departure, and yeah, so our destination is going to be Vancouver, but because I want to shoot an en route approach, I actually have to put in our en route airport as our destination, which is going to be Victoria, and I couldn't find another way to do this. I had to split it up. So originally when I tried this flight, I had Vancouver as a destination, and then I tried to load it on a route approach. I couldn't figure out how to do it. If anyone knows how to do that, just let me know in the comments. I would appreciate that. But yeah, just have to split the flight up into segments if you're going to do en route portions. So we'll put in Victoria, CYYJ, and we're going to go straight ahead to YCD. And then we're going to go to MEPMU, and that's going to be it for our first part of our route. And then we're going to, before we get to MEPMU, we're going to get taken off for an approach into Victoria. And then once we're done the approach and we're on the missed approach, and then we can go direct to MEPMU for the initial fix for the arrival. Then we can delete Victoria, and then we can load in Vancouver and load in the approach for Vancouver and the arrival. So that's the plan. For the departure, though, I need to build the rest of the departure, so we need to put that hold in at the Nanaimo VOR. So let's build the hold there. I'll just zoom in. So hold at waypoint. It's on a course of 191, and it's going to be left-hand turns, and that looks just like the chart there. So there we go. 191 inbound and left-hand turns. Okay, so we'll load the hold. Then we'll go back to our map. We'll see how that looks. So there we are. We got our track up to the YCD, and then the hold until we get to 10,000 feet, and then we're going to go down to MEPMU, and then right now our destination is Victoria. So that's all we need for now. So next we'll put in our autopilot. We're going to say we're going to be cleared right to 10,000 feet. The course is 343, so we'll put that in our course window. And we might as well put our heading as 343 as well for the runway. So that's all good to go. So that's our initial setup. The weather here has been light rain showers, about 3,000 overcast, broken cloudy skies, visibility 10 miles. So yeah, so not great weather here on the island today, but we've got a fully capable King Air to be able to do this in. So let's make sure our course CDIs and GPS, so that's ready to go. So all we need to do, all the run-up checks are complete and everything else is done. The airplane all started up here. You can just refer to the, again, you can just refer to my previous video if you want to see all the startup procedures for this aircraft and the run-up checks involved with the BlackSquare King Air. Okay, so the before takeoff checklist. Flight instruments are set and checked. Fuel quantity, we got about half a load of gas here, so we got lots of gas for today's trip. It's not very long. Flaps are set for takeoff or approach. That's good. Auto feather, we can arm the auto feather, and the light goes out. That's good. Engine anti-ice, we'll make sure those should have been on already for the taxi, but we'll put those on. Okay, left and right fuel vent, we'll put those on, and the pitot heat can go on as well. So that's good. The bleed air valves are, we'll put those in open. Auto pressurization is just set for just above sea level there. We're not going above 10,000 feet, so we don't need to worry about that. No other anti-ice for now. We might need some prop when we get up in the air. Keep an eye on the wings. Weather radar, I'll keep it standby for now. So that's good. Prop levers are full. Condition levers are full forward. And so that's it. And our CAS is checked. So we just have the engine anti-ice and the low prop pitch. That's going to go away, and reverse not ready when we got the pitch up. Okay, so that's all good. So I think we're ready to go. So we'll put our strobe light on, landing light on, say we're clear takeoff runway 34, and let's head on out. Okay, parking brake is released. A little bit of power. Looks clear on final. Get lined up, check our heading. Okay, heading looks good. Go on the brakes. Start bringing in some power. Prop is at the top of the arc there, looks good. Torque's coming up, we'll keep an eye on the torque. We're gonna set about 90% or whatever we can get for takeoff today. Creeping ahead. There's full power, brake release. And we got about 90%. Airspeed's alive. Yeah, just bring the power back a little bit there. There's V1. Rotate. And positive rate. Gear up. Speed is good. Flaps up. And we'll target a climb for 160. Through 400 feet, we'll get autopilot, yaw damper on, flight level change, and we'll engage nav. And we'll do our post takeoff check. Gear is up, flaps are up, yaw damper is on. Okay, the autopilot's engaged. We're tracking nav and in climb mode, 160 knots. Just watch our torque there. Okay, windshield anti-ice is good. Ice protection is good for now. Propeller sync, turn that on. Bleed valves are open, and yeah, so we're good. And I'll just bring back to our climb RPM about 1600. So we're climbing straight ahead here now, and we're going to go into the hold until we get to 10,000 feet. So looking good. Keep an eye on the torque there. Keep it around 90 for the climb. Okay, we should be coming into the hold now. So making a right turn, we're going to do the hold entry, which is outbound, and then a right turn to come back to the NDB, and then we do our left turns. Now we might be at 10,000 feet by the time we come back to the NDB here, and then we can just continue on. So the climb is looking good. Keep an eye on our wing. No icing yet. Temperature outside right now is -1. I'm going to put the prop de-ice on just in case. So the propeller de-ice is here, and we can check the load on the amps over here for that. So that's good. And then we'll just monitor our wings as required. So our course is 111. Center up our heading bug. And climb is looking good. Yeah, we're in the thick of it here now. Cabin temperature is not too bad. Pretty cold outside. Okay, we're in the right-hand turn to come back to the VOR or to the NDB, so that we should be at 10,000 by the time we track inbound. So then we can just exit the hold and delete the hold and go right into our en route portion of our flight. So I'm going to get some Victoria ATIS while we're here, so we can go to airport Victoria. Whoop. And we got weather data there, showing the winds 208 at 30. We got 1,000 feet to go. And the altimeter is 3008. So let's go to comms frequency. Let's get the ATIS, and that's in the backup when we want it. Okay, we're just leveling off at 10,000 feet. We're going to track back to the YCD NDB. I'll bring the power back a little bit. Don't need to cruise at 90%. We'll cruise at about 70% torque today, so we're not going too far. Okay, so we'll get the cruise check. Auto feather can go off. Passenger signs, we'll leave them on. And engine anti-ice we'll leave on. Windshield anti-ice is in normal. We'll leave that where it is. Ice protection, I'll leave the prop de-ice on. We're just kind of skirting the tops of the clouds here. Nothing on the wings yet. That's the master caution for the auto feather turned off. Okay, bleed air valves we'll leave open. And yeah, and our pressurization is good. Okay, so that is our cruise check, and I'll bring back to about 1,500 for our cruise power. Okay, so we can go now. We can exit the hold. So let's go back to flight plan, hold. We'll exit the hold. And then we go over to YCD, and then we'll activate our next leg. So go to flight plan. We'll activate the leg to MetMu. And there we go. And now we'll make a left turn and go outbound on our track of 109. Okay, so level at 10,000, speed is good. So let's get, we're going to pick up our track to MetMu now. And then we are going to get some ATIS and see what approach we can do in Victoria. We're going to do an RNAV approach, just a matter of if it's going to be for runway 9 or 27. Same altimeter? Okay, so we have Quebec.
Victoria Airport information, Quebec 2300 Zulu. Wind 18 ice at 6. Visibility 10. Sky condition. Victoria Airport information, Quebec 2300 Zulu.
Okay. So we have our ATIS. We're getting on our track to MEPMU. So they're using 2.7, so we're going to do the RNAV 2.7, so I'll just go over that approach with you here. So we're going to do it coming in from this direction here, so we'll do it by OBSOP and min sector. So when we're at 25 miles of the runway, which is the airport, we can go down to 5,500 feet. And then once we're by OBSOP, we can go down to 2,200 feet, but it recommends 2,300 feet to intercept the glide path. And then we're going to follow this track inbound. The minimums are, we'll use 306, which is 250 feet. Missed approach is going to be climb on track 269 to APCOS, then ITPIV, and then to ActiPass NDB. And that's up to 3,500 feet. So we'll just use that for the missed approach. And then once you're in the missed approach, then we can delete Victoria information and we'll go direct MEPMU for the arrival into Vancouver. So that's the approach. So we can load that in, and we'll request. So what happened when I did this on VATSIM? I just requested that approach, and then he cleared me direct to OBSOP. So what I'll do is I'll load the approach in for the RNAV 2.7. So the RNAV Zulu 2.7 via OBSOP. And we can, since we're cleared direct OBSOP, we can load and activate that approach. And then the map now, you see we're direct OBSOP. So that is the approach. Load it. And we'll just verify all those waypoints. So we have OBSOP, LAFLO, TUGUK, Zotan, and runway 27, and then the missed approach is APCOS, IPIV, and ActiPass, and then hold as published. So the approach looks good. Put in our RADALT minimums. It's 250 feet for the RADALT, and that looks good. We'll go back to the map, and we can descend now. So we'll request lower, and then he gives us down to 5,500 feet. And if you want to check if you're within 25 miles of the airport, you can just call up the airport, and you can see we're within 25 miles of the airport right there. So we can go down to 5,500 feet. So I'll select the 5,500 in our course selector window. Vertical speed, bring the power back. And I'll put about 1,500 in for now. Cancel the gear warning horn. We're tracking 119 to OBSOP. Center our heading bug. And let's go to the checklist and get the descent portion. So pressurization is good. Bleed valves are open. Environmental controls are good. Fuel is good. Passenger signs are on. Windshield anti-ice is normal. Ice protection is as required. Altimeters, we got 3007 set. I'm going to engage vertical speed. And for some reason that didn't catch, but there we go. Vertical speed down to 1,500 feet per minute. And we got 5,500. And if we just look at our banana bar, we want to be 5,500 feet at OBSOP, so we're looking pretty good for that. See our banana bar, so we quite don't need to descend that fast, so I'll go about 1,200 feet. So that looks good. So again, I'll just brief the approach. So we're going to be doing the RNAV, runway 27, course is 269, the FAF is at TUGUK at 2,200 feet. Minimums for the approach, we're going to use the 306 minimums at 250 feet above ground. We verified the waypoints all the way in. It's a 3-degree glide slope once we get by TUGUK there. And the missed approach, we already talked about that, up to 3,500 on that LNAV track. So that looks good. So that's our approach. Altimeter is set. descent check is good, so we're on our descent into Victoria. So what we're going to do is, at minimums, we are going to do the missed approach, and then we're going to follow the published missed approach, and then we'll request direct to MEM. I can't remember the name of that waypoint now. It's MEPMU, and that's the initial fix for Victoria. While we're up here, we can listen to Vancouver's weather and get there. The ATIS for Vancouver is 24.6. Just kind of get a feel for how that is looking. 1246 transfer. There we go.
Vancouver Airport information, Yankee 2300 Zulu. Wind calm. Visibility greater than 20 miles. Sky condition, few clouds at 1,800 feet, ceiling 4,600 feet overcast. Temperature 4. Dew point 10. Altimeter 30.08. ILS Yankee runway 8 left and ILS 0 runway 8 right in use. Landing and departing runway 8 left.
Okay, so the winds are calm and they're using the 8, so that's the runway we were planning, so 8 right. So that's look good. We got 1,000 feet to go. I'll just take that descent off a little bit. Once we're by odd stop, we can go down to 2,300 feet, and then we'll stay there for the rest of the approach. So we'll cancel that. Yeah, so the descent's going pretty good. 5,500 feet for now. Yeah, I had to do some fast work on VATSIM when I did this the first time. I wasn't sure how to load in the Victoria approach. I had loaded in the route to Vancouver, and then I couldn't get the Victoria approach to come up, and so I had to delete out all the Vancouver stuff, quickly put in Victoria, and yeah, it was a lot of work. Anyway, I got it in and then did the approach, and then reloaded all the Vancouver stuff after that. Throw on the weather radar just for kicks here. Okay, we're at 5,500 feet. I'll bring the power up. 40% should be good for now. I'll keep the speed not too fast for this. Okay, once we're at OPSOP, we go down to 2,300 feet, and we're going to intercept at 2 Guck here for the approach. Okay, we'll arm our auto feather again for the approach, and then we'll disarm it again once we get en route to Vancouver. En route to Vancouver, we're only going to climb up to 5,000 feet. That looks good. Temperature is still -1. Well, we do have some icing on the cowlings here. Nothing on the wings, but here I'll show you the wing de-ice is really cool. Oh no, sorry, I'm thinking of the 414. Anyway, we can activate the wing de-ice here though. So we come down here and we go surface de-ice, and we can just do a single application of surface de-ice to clean anything off. Okay, we're coming via OPSOP. Let's go down to 2,300 feet. Vertical speed, I'll go 1,500 feet per minute. Bring the power back, cancel the gear warning horn. And we can see here, yeah, so that should work out well for 2 Guck to be at 2,300 feet with this descent. You can see now we've got our glide path right now for the approach, so that's coming in. So we could probably arm the approach any time. We can actually just continue on this glide path all the way in. So we'll come down here, we'll arm the approach. You can see VNAV approach is armed and the glide path is, or active and the glide path is armed. So if we just taper off that descent, we should capture that glide path, and you'll see coupled up here. And then we'll just fly that 30-degree glide path for the entire approach. So landing light's still on, we'll leave that on. Weather is picking up nice here in Victoria. Let's hop outside and have a look around. So there's lots of little islands here in the strait. There's the airport over here in Victoria. They've had some snow recently in this area as well. Not on the islands here. We should see some in Vancouver. The clouds look amazing. Okay, looks good. It's 2300. Still haven't captured the approach yet, so just slightly below. Put our inbound course now in of 270. Okay, now you see coupled engaged, so we actually have captured the 3-degree glide path, so we're good for that all the way in. So we've captured the glide path, so now I can put in our missed approach altitude of 3,500 feet. And we'll just continue along the approach. So I'll get the first stage of flap in. The speeds are up here if you need them. So for flap, approach flap below 202 knots and gear extension below 182. So let's put our first notch of flap in. So approach flap. So approach flap is set. Speed's coming back nicely. Okay, we're below our gear speed. We can put our gear out any time, so we might as well do that. So landing gear down. And we'll go props full. Get rid of that. So gear is down, flaps at approach. Bring some power up. Keep our speed above 120 for now. Yeah, it looks good. So let's do our landing checklist. Altimeters are set. Landing lights are on. Passenger signs are on. Flaps are at approach right now. Landing gear is down, 3 green, and propeller levers are full forward. So we're looking good. So pre-landing check is complete. So we put 250 back in there. So for the missed approach, I just hit toga, and then we'll basically go into a toga pitch attitude for the go-around. We'll get the gear up and the flaps up, and then we can suspend the go-around and go into nav mode. So we'll hit suspend over here, and then I'll go back to climb mode on the autopilot to climb at 160 knots. And we'll say... we'll follow the missed approach track until we get our clearance to our next waypoint. There's 1,000 feet. Missed approach altitude is set. Okay, we'll go approach flap or full flap now. I'll keep the speed around 120. A bit more power. So flaps are down, speed is good, and minimums are 306 on the altimeter. So we're 100 above. Okay, there's minimums. I hit toga, bring the power up, flaps to approach. Positive rate, gears up. Let's watch our powers, 90%. Speed is good, we'll bring our flaps up. And you'll see over here the suspend for the, so we'll unsuspend. That'll bring up our LNAV track. We're back in nav mode, and we'll go back to climb on the autopilot to target 160. Check our torque. We'll do our post-takeoff check. Gear is up, flaps are up. And T's and P's, climb power is set, and everything looks good. Track and nav, and autopilot's good. Okay, we'll continue to climb on our missed approach track, and you see that goes out this direction here to active pass with a hold. And we check in with ATC, and let's say they just clear us now up to 5,000 feet, which will be our cruise altitude to Vancouver. So there's 5,000 feet set, so we'll continue that. So this approach is going nicely here. I don't need that prop the ice on anymore. Clear that. It looks pretty good. Okay, there's 1,000 feet to go. You can see we've got to go out to this fix here and then turn right. So we still got a ways to go. We're not in a rush here. We're going to level off and then we'll do our cruise checks. Well, we'll finish off the climb check though. That's all good. Yeah, that's all good. Now we're leveling off. I'm going to set again 70% torque. And let's do our cruise check. So we'll get the auto feather off. Engine anti-ice will leave on. Windshield anti-ice will leave normal. Ice protection is good for now. Prop ice is off. Leave our landing light on because we're in a high traffic area here. Actually, it's embedded into the master caution was for the auto feather off. Yeah, we might as well shut the landing lights off because they're in the nose gear anyway. Okay, propeller sync is on and bleed valves are still open. Pressurization is good. Okay, so you see our pressurization panel right here. So we've got a good differential. We'll just maintain 500 cabin altitude. Okay, we're still on our missed approach. So now we tell him we want to go to Vancouver, and he would say, okay, you are now cleared direct to MEPMU, and then the arrival will be the Island 5 departure via MEPMU. So we have MEPMU already in our flight plan here, so we can go select MEPMU, we can go direct to, activate direct to MEPMU, and you can see now we're going direct to MEPMU. If I zoom out here, you can see, there we go. So now, and then it goes MEPMU to YYJ, so now we need to go in and delete the airport. So we go back to the flight plan, we delete YYJ, so we remove YYJ. So we remove YYJ, okay. Why is that not removing? Oh, I gotta remove the approach first, that's why. Yeah, so that should be good. So remove YYJ. Oh, I wonder why it's not removing. Okay, so let's go back to our map. We get 021 as our course to MEPMU. And procedure, so the approach is gone. So I want to remove CYYJ, but it's not removing for some reason. Okay, so let's go MEPMU direct to, activate direct to again. Okay, and then flight plan. Move. Nope, it's not removing. So let's add CYVR. Now let's try to remove it. There we go. weird. I don't know why I did that. I was able to just remove it before. Okay, so we've got that taken care of. As always, things I'm figuring out on this all the time. So now we need to put in the procedure, the arrival, which is the Island 5. And it's via METMU, and it's going to be for runway 8 right. So we'll load that up. We go back to the map, and now we see that it's got METMU, and we'll go over the Island 5 procedure there. Okay, so I'll just... sometimes it takes some playing around with it, but we got it just in time. So we're still tracking the METMU. We got rid of Victoria, and now I'll just go over the Island 5 arrival with you here. So Island 5 is via METMU, and then it goes to Talpi, max 210 knots, and then NACMA at 210, 3,000 feet or above, and then it's on a DTW track from there. And then the approach we're going to do is the ILS 8 right. So that is the arrival. And you can see they're in there, Talpi and NACMA, 3,000 feet or above, 210 knots. And we need max 220, so let's just bring the power back a little bit so we don't exceed that. So let's just double check the Vancouver ATIS again.
Vancouver Airport information, Yankee 2300 Zulu. Wind calm. Visibility greater than 20 miles. Sky condition 1,800 feet. Scattered ceiling 4,600 feet overcast. Temperature 4. Dew point 10. Altimeter 30.08.
So 3008.
Yankee runway 8 left and ILS 0 runway 8 right in use. Landing and departing runway 8 left and runway 8 right. DFR aircraft say direction of flight.
Okay, so we'll load the ILS 8 right. So we'll go back to procedures, approach, and we want the ILS 8 right, and just by vectors is fine, so we'll load that. Now we're making our left turn to Talpi, track of 355. Speed is good now, we're just below 200 knots. That's the restriction at Talpi. And we can descend now to 3,000 feet for MACMA. So we'll select 3,000. And we'll just go down at 500 feet per minute. Bring the power off a little bit. Keep the speed under 220. So the descent's going good. And let's do our descent check now. So pressurization set, bleed valves are still good. Passenger signs are still on. Fuel balance, check our fuel. Still looks pretty good, lots of gas. Engine anti-ice is still on. And windshield light protection will leave as normal. Other ice protection as required. So right now, temperature is -6. We're back into the cloud here. So I'm going to put the property ice back on. So we'll just check the gauge here when we put it back on. And we get a jump there, so that looks good. So ice protection is good. Altimeter is set 3008, landing lights, and we'll put those on. So that is our descent checklist. Now we'll check the approach. So the approach is going to be the ILS 8 right. So it's 1095, course 083, crossing Tapia to 2,030 feet. Minimums for this one's 200 feet or 209 on the altimeter, so 200 on the rattle. And missed approach is climb to 420 feet, 083, right turn 2,000, heading 113. And then intercept the VOR, intercept the right turn to the right turn to the YYR VOR. So that's the missed approach. There's 1095, we'll put that in. And there it is, idents are good. We got 1,000 feet to go. Speed is still good. So it looks good. So that's all coming together. So we'll go downwind and then we'll radar vector ourselves onto final for the approach. So I'll just kind of show you on here. So we're downwind, and then once it goes downwind, it goes into manual sequence. It'll just stay on that heading, and then we can radar vector us around for the approach onto 8 right. So it looks good. Speed max 210 for the NACMA, so that is good as well. Our next track is 269. Our heading bug around 2. Let's have a look outside here. So there's Vancouver over here, the mainland. See the mountains off in the distance. Yeah, and they've had snow in Vancouver the last few days there, so you can see snow on the ground, which is cool. Okay, leveling off at 3,000 feet. So once we get on vector, so it will be a right turn to probably heading 350, and then we can activate vectors to final, which should put us in, change our CDI source here to Vorloke, and should switch over our course to 083 for inbound course. So speed's good, 3,000, keep 40% torque, that should be fine. That'll keep us above 180. Looking good, so we're going to be hitting the manual sequence point here, or we can actually go radar vectors before that too. Yeah, this is a great GPS system. It's payware from PMS. I'll link it in the description as well. It's a really nice GPS system. There's a free trial if you want to try it out as well. Oh, we can see some weather up here on the distance. Yeah, it's really, really awesome GPS, that's for sure. And it's you can use it in quite a few aircraft as well. Some of the stock aircraft from Asobo you can use, and a lot of the payware aircraft use it too. I use it a lot in the Chancellor 414. And maybe I'll do my next flight in that. So we're just coming up to the manual sequence here. And then we'll see what happens when we hit that. So now it goes in the manual sequence. So now it's just going to maintain this last track until we do something else. So we need to change our roll mode. So we'll go into heading, and then we'll adjust our heading to 350. Just use my glass echo. So heading 350 for vectors, and then once we do that, then we can go back to procedure and we can activate vectors to final. You go to the map, you can see now we're switched over to Vorloke, and you can see our course of 083 is set for the inbound. So that looks good. And we've got 1095, and we can see that's the ILS runway 8, so that's good. Okay, next heading we'll go is 040 or 045. And then on that heading, we'll say we're cleared for the straight-in ILS runway 8 right. So I need the armed approach. Actually, I might have to activate vectors to final. I found this a couple times. You might have to do this twice to actually get it to be able to arm the approach down here. Nope, didn't work again. Maybe because it's not picked it up yet. We got our glide slope flag. Yeah. So let's go back. So we got 1095 as the right course frequency. That looks good. Let's try procedure, activate vectors to final one more time. Can we arm the approach yet? There we go, yep. Oh, and you can see the flags have gone away, so it didn't quite pick it up yet. So now we're coming in, you see approach is armed, glide slope is armed as well. So we're active on the approach. Set my heading now. and we're waiting for the glide path to come in. So we're below 202. We can put our first notch of flap out, approach flap. That's good. Might as well put the prop levers are already up, leave them up. Put the auto feather armed. And we'll get the gear when we come up to the glide path there. Yeah, so it looks nice in Vancouver, not too bad. They've had quite a bit of snow lately though. Yeah, the clouds look amazing in the sim. They're very realistic looking now. I love how the light shines through the openings in the cloud there. Glide path starting to come in. Speed is looking good. Yeah, so this PMS GTN750 is a nice combo with this airplane. You can also use there's a TDS GTN750 as well. You can also use it with this airplane as well if you have that. That's a payware product as well. And you can use the stock Sobo GSN as well. So you have lots of options with this King Air. I see they're also come out with a analog version of the Baron and the Bonanza as well. So if you prefer those airplanes, those are some options. There's glide path. So you see we're coupled now. Glide path is captured. Gear is down. Bring the power back a little bit. Let our speed bleed off. And let's do our landing check. So altimeter is set. The landing lights are on. Passenger signs are on. Flaps are at approach right now. Full flap to go. Gear is down 3 green. There's our altitude. Propellers are full forward. And we'll check our CAS and everything is good except for the engine anti-ice. We can shut off our prop. We're not in any moisture or precipitation right now, so I'll shut off the prop de-ice there. So that looks good. So our pre-landing check's good. Full flap to go. Yeah, so they're going to have a very similar setup for the, they're going to have an analog Bonanza and an analog Baron as well if you like those airplanes. Be another nice option for the sim. I think I'll just stick with the King Air. I like the regular Bonanza and Baron are just fine. Okay, we capture the glide slope, so we can put it at our missed approach altitude of 2,000 feet. Speed's good. Altitude selector, yep. So we'll say we're clear to land on 8 right. The FBO is just off to the right, so we'll take an exit off to the right. You can exit on they have a cross runway here that you can exit on. Speed's good. We'll bleed it off with approach flap. We'll get a little lower. Yeah, beautiful mountains here in Vancouver. That's never really frozen over there, so I don't know why it's frozen over. That harbor is usually wide open. It'd have to be really cold for a really long time for that to freeze over. Okay, coming up on 1,000 feet, our missed approach altitude is set. We'll put in our land flap, bleed the speed off. We'll maintain about 110 till we get final, and then we'll bleed it off in the once we do the final portion. Looking for about 100 knots. Speed is good, so gears down, flaps are down. We'll say we're clear to land. Speed's a little bit slow. We'll add a little bit of power. Okay, so we're a couple hundred feet to go to minimums, but runway's in sight, so I'm just going to disengage the autopilot, the yaw damper, flight director. We'll just hand fly it in the last little bit here. Okay, we'll get the speed, let's start bleeding the speed off. There we go, touchdown. Welcome to Vancouver. And I'm not going to use reverse. We got a ways to go to get it down here. Bring the power up a little bit so we can get to the exit. So we're landing light off. Taxi light can go on. Strobe light will get off. And we can exit on the runway just up to the right here. Start bringing the flaps up. And we're clear of the runway. We'd switch over to ground and taxi in. So I'll just stop it on the runway here for now. Okay, we'll get her stopped, set the parking brake. Okay, we'll go to low idle. And so we got our flaps are up, lights are good, taxi lights on. Yeah, we can get our bleed valves, go to environmental only. Yeah, that looks good. And we'll leave the engine ice on for the taxi in. So I'll see you for the, see you when we get in there. Okay, parking brake release, we'll just taxi in. Well, that was our quick flight in the Analog King Air. Hope you enjoyed that. Got to really put the GTN750 through his paces. Had a couple little quirks there, trying to delete the airport. Didn't know why it wouldn't do that for some reason, but anyway, we were able to get it done. Anyway, great little GPS to use in this airplane. Highly recommended. But again, if you don't want to buy it because it is payware, you can use the stock. There is a freeware version of this, but it's not very well featured. But the stock GSN is available as well. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's flight. Maybe for the next one, we'll try a flight in the Cessna 414, which is a nice payware aircraft from FlySimware. And you can also use the GTN in that one as well. So if you enjoyed today's video, appreciate it if you could hit subscribe, hit like, share, ring that bell, sign up for notifications. You'll see videos like this when I put them out in the future. I'm just going to park up to the FBO up here to the right. And yeah, so you can see the full, I'm not going to go through the full shutdown in this video. If you want to see that, you can reference my last video. So again, thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoyed the flight, and we'll see you next time on the Bandit Flight Simmer channel. Have a great day. Bandit out.